Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Perakee Podcast. I'm Brad Mahal, your host. And with me today, we have a really interesting fellow. I've known him since he was a wee little boy, JT, host of Sasquatch Confessions. I'll give a little background. If you're not from BC, even the local pubs are called, there's a local pub called the Sasquatch Pub. That's how steeped we are in Sasquatch lore and Sasquatch hunting. And I know, like, just growing up, going fly fishing and walking up all the creeks and rivers, there was some you knew not to go up because giant fucking rocks will get chucked at you if you try to go up the Chehalis River. And everybody knew that. But yeah, so JT, take it away. Tell us about what you guys do at Sasquatch Confessions.
Well, Sasquatch Confessions, I started it in 2020, just before the pandemic. And technically, I mean, it helped me out a lot because I was going through a lot of shit back then in my personal life. And Sasquatch Confessions really pretty much saved my life in a way. It's like, you know, I had issues, I'm sure you know, or have heard about them in the past. Anyways, I started it to be there for people, right, who have had encounters with Sasquatch. So I started pumping out videos. At first, I was just pumping out videos of Sasquatch encounters, and they were getting traction right away, right? So Sasquatch Confessions blew up, right? Like, I got almost 167,000 people on there right now, and like it was an instant blow up. Like it took off right away. So it was really cool. But so many people tell me their stories, right, about seeing these Sasquatch, these people. I call them interdimensional force people because that's what I believe they are.
They're Chewbacca's cruising around.
But yeah, yeah. No, I tend to look at a lot of the native side, like the culture of it too, like what they've always talked about, right? And like, I have native blood in me. I don't know if you know that, but like, we're part of the Kisnik First Nations, and
yep,
the ancestors have literally, they used to see these guys, right? And a lot of them speak of them as being almost spiritual or spirit-like beings. And I think the ancestors seen these guys disappear in front and like fade in and out of our reality or whatever, right? Or wherever we're here, right? Like they're interdimensional. So I believe like they seen them coming in and out of our dimension. This is why they thought they were spirit-like. You know what I mean? But,
yeah, I totally know about the spirit realm. I do a lot of meditating. I've done a lot of psychedelics, and there's definitely a spirit realm there. I'm really into mysticism of all different kinds, Kabbalah, Christian mysticism, Native. I really loved all the Native American stuff, and that's one of the top reasons why I've always been a believer. It's like, why would they make this stuff up, right? Like, I think the Chehalis band is even like, there's Bear Clan and this clan and that clan. I think they're like a Sasquatch clan, aren't they? Like they got tons of Sasquatch lore.
Dude, the main thing of the Chehalis people is the Sasquatch, right? Yeah. And they think it's a spirit-like being, and it's so wild, bro. Like when I think about, I'm gonna get into some encounter stuff here now. To me, it's strange how this all came about, but I don't believe in coincidences, and I think this all kind of tied together. And when I think about it even more, everything in the past many things that we think are paranormal are not paranormal. Okay. This is going to make me sound totally freaking nuts, bro, but we have Sasquatch guides, okay, that guide us. Okay. The first time I was told about having a Sasquatch guide, I had a giant hand grab my head, and it was like this weirdest tingly feeling I've ever felt in my life. And it was like massaging my head. And I was like I'd never felt anything like that in my fucking life, dude. And it was such a trip, right? And that was just like 4 months ago, first time I ever felt that. It's
So
happened.
somebody told you of the concept of Sasquatch as being a guy, like a spiritual guy.
I was on a live and this random woman came on. She goes, I have to tell you something. My guides are telling me to tell you this. She goes, you have a Sasquatch guide, right? And I'm like,
Nice.
as soon as she said it, it just started happening. Like as she said it, it started happening. It's so weird, dude. Such a trip. So
was it scary feeling or comforting feeling?
Oh, it was really good. Really good.
Oh, okay.
And I got, okay, so there's that part of it. Now, the encounter, man, like, okay, my twin brother, Ken, you know Ken, remember, do you know Ken Spinks? Yeah, you know
I know
Ken.
Ken Spinks pretty well. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So Ken had a Sasquatch encounter when he was about 13. I'll get into that as well. But
okay.
Lee and Ken, they tend to go out and put up trail cameras and do that kind of stuff, right? Which is cool, really cool, right? They get really cool pictures of animals and stuff. We've got a couple of pictures of orbs that were really interesting too, like big ones and small ones. But they went out and put trail cameras up this one day, and it was down I'm just going to say a dry riverbed near Chehalis River. Okay. Now they go down there. They pass this log. It had 5 rocks on it. Okay. They go put the trail cameras up. They see some possible Sasquatch tracks. They find some like tree breaks and possible structure-ish stuff. They come back and they're smoking a joint at this log, right? And Lee looks down at this rock and sees these carvings in it. And he's like, oh, that's pretty interesting. So they take pictures, right? And they come home and they tell me about what happened, show me the pictures. And I go, why didn't you bring that home? Like, that is really cool. You should have brought that home, right? And I end up talking to a friend who is like one of the main guys out at Chehalis. And he actually got the Sasquatch mask back from, I think it was in a UK museum for like almost 80 years or something. He got that back, right? Now this guy told me, because I said, this rock has this marking on it. It's like an X. Like, do you know what this is? And he goes, yes, it's a Halls. It's a symbol we've been using for thousands of years. So right away, I'm like, I got to go back and get this rock, right? So 2 days later, I go back to this area. They told me where to go, right? I go in by myself and I get to the log. There was 5 rocks when they left. When I get back there, there's only 2 rocks and a big like 6-foot staff kind of stick leaning against the log. So I'm like, this is interesting. Things have changed, right? So I'll show you this rock here. I mean, I don't know if I can flip this around, but let me see here. That's a Halls right there. Okay. That's a Halls symbol.
Halls.
Yeah. Okay. XALS. And this, it's hard to see, but that was a woman. It says like the body, the arms, the head, and the legs down here. It's kind of hard to see. But that was a man at one point. It's all smooth from the river though, right? But this was a man. Like you can see it in the certain lighting, you can see, right? Now,
interesting.
If you look at the story of creation for the Chehalis people, it talks about the Halls battling the witch doctor or shaman and turning the shaman into 7 pieces of stone. One of those pieces of stone landed in Harrison Lake, where the Chehalis people originate from. So on this rock, we have a Halls and a man and a woman. So to me, I see the story of creation for the Chehalis people on the rock.
That's pretty cool.
Right? I mean, to me, it can't be a coincidence, right? Like one week later, we were me and a buddy were at the Chehalis River fishing, just having a day. It was like September, beautiful day. I was in my no shirt, fucking shorts, sweating away. Like it was hot out, right? I could have went swimming, right? Now we're fishing down the Chehalis River, and about 200 or 300 yards downriver, I say it was a Sasquatch. I mean, it was far away, right? And I couldn't quite get detail, but this thing had to be 7 to 9 feet tall, covered head to toe in brown hair, like brown color. It's like pure brown, right? It had a stick in its hand, like the one that was gifted to us. It came walking out from where the rock and the stick were found. That's where it came walking out from. And it covered about 200 yards in 10 seconds. And it was like, it walked through the river at the same time. It had a stick with it. And it was like taking the biggest steps I've ever seen anybody take, man. Like the distance between the legs, that's the first thing that caught my eye was like, and like the brown color from head to toe, right? Like I think we had a Sasquatch encounter that day, right? But I mean, literally maybe 10 or 15 minutes later, we came across this track in the sand. I mean, I tried to cast it, only got a small piece of it left. I broke into pieces and I missed a piece, but it's crazy, man. It was literally the most weird. Let me see if I can draw you the shape of this foot, because it's hard to explain when you can't see it, but it was like this.
Yeah, seeing something that has that big of a stride would be uncanny for any woodsman. Now, you're always out there, you're always out fishing and stuff. Yeah.
It was like that, but it was 7 inches wide and 7 inches long. So it was like a square, almost like weird L shape. And
okay.
I believe it was literally a child. Okay.
A juvenile
The Sasquatch. Yeah. It looked as if where we found it was right at the edge of the water where there was sand. And you could see where there was like rock above. And there was like one good print going right down. And then there was one pushing off going the opposite direction. And I think possibly baby Sasquatch or whatever, right, was holding on to the mother and jumped off, got a drink, and bounced back, right? So
yeah, I heard an interesting a while ago that I thought I knew all of them from where we grew up in the Fraser Valley. And I can't remember this guy's name. I'll try and look it up in a minute here. But this one sounded like the guy, a native fellow, was hunting. This would have been in like the 1850s or 60s. He was hunting with a rifle, and it sounded like he was up at the monastery in Hatzik there in that area.
I know the one.
You know that story, yeah. And he shot the juvenile. But what I found crazy was he said, so we'll tell for the people, there was a tree stump, like a big cedar hall tree stump, and this juvenile had popped up and he thought it was a bear. His dogs were barking, so he shot it, and it started moaning and wailing, and it was a juvenile Sasquatch. And then he could hear other Sasquatch coming. Some female Sasquatch showed up.
I got to say something.
What's that?
The story, brother, is you got it pretty much right there, but it was actually not a juvenile Sasquatch. It was a Caucasian boy with long black hair, and he thought it was a black bear. So this was a human being, a wild human being crawled out of the tree. Buddy shot it. It's screaming. It can't speak our language. It can't speak English. It's like screaming, and he can't help this guy, right? He's trying to help. Half an hour later, 2 female Sasquatch emerge from the bush, and one of them is carrying what looks to be a snake, like a snake or something that looks like a cord, and it's whipping the ground, walking in circles around the child. This is how they heal people, bro. They do it with circular movement and vibration and sound. This is how they do it. And I have multiple encounters of people telling me people don't realize when this stuff happens to them, right? Like, you could be getting the shit scared out of you, but you're being healed in a way,
Yeah,
you know?
possibly. But the
But
interesting
like,
part I found about that one was the guy said that the female Sasquatch, when they came, were speaking the local native dialect to
yeah,
him. Like,
yeah,
why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. And he was saying, I didn't mean to do that. I thought it was a bear, but it spoke the local Stolo
yeah.
language, right?
It was a part of like the northern lake that I think it's called the Douglas Fir something tribe or something like that. But that's what
Yeah.
they were speaking at. And I've always heard this from someone told me this before, that the Sasquatch, it doesn't matter where they are, because they exist literally everywhere. And they pick up words. Like, they could be living in the swamps behind a trailer park in Alabama. Okay, but they will literally pick up singular words they'll use. They'll literally take words from our language and from their local people and use them. They will literally use them. They won't be able to maybe comprehend exactly everything and use them the way we use them, but they literally will take. They literally took in human names and named their children. This kind of stuff is what I've been told by some people, right?
Crazy.
So you never know, right? I believe all the wildest shit, man, because I've seen the wildest shit and experienced the wildest shit, you know? So I can't judge anybody or I know what I'm speaking is true, man. Like, it's my truth. And I know you have stories too, right? So we know, man. And I call these moments, I call these moments soul activation moments, okay? When you see a Sasquatch, when you see a UFO, when you see this, you're being woken up, man, from the everyday person, okay? We are awake, This is what's happening. I call them soul activation moments.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like when you look at that Skinwalker Ranch and stuff like that. Like, I think it's just like energy vortexes, energy places, or maybe the veil gets thinned between the dimensions, and then it's subjective to whatever your consciousness can handle. So some people might see a ghost, might see a Sasquatch, might see it. They're going to see. It's reality subjective to your own personal experience and interpretation of that energy. Or whatever the heck's happening. I think that's what's going on, because like that Skinwalker Ranch is so much crazy shit going on, man.
I mean, they say they've seen like basically a Sasquatch crawl out of a fucking tunnel that was made in the air and jump out and land on the ground and run away. I mean, this is what the scientists and like that NIDS team was up here, eh? Like, do you know that NIDS team came to Harrison to study Sasquatch?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they fucking.
I didn't know that.
Are you into David Paulides or any of his work?
The 411, yeah. The missing 411.
So if you watch the new one, there's a new one that he just released, Missing 411, the UFO Connection, and in that there's this old timer guy that lives in the back of Harrison Lake. He didn't say this on the documentary, but he said it off the documentary on his YouTube channel. That when he was up there talking to this guy, that this old man let him know that the NIDS team came right to where he was, like at this guy's house, to study Sasquatch, because they're so frequent in that area, right? Harrison, Chehalis. So I mean, I believe they don't tell us about this stuff because they can't. There's no way for them to literally prove it. We can't prove it, really. I don't think we can, but. And I also have a weird theory too, man, that I was just thinking about, like the dimensional thing. Like I always say, it's possible that we are interdimensional beings ourselves, but we can't perceive it. Okay. Like it's possible that we are flipping through billions of dimensions per second. And literally when you're having these encounters with whatever it is, you could be in that coexisting in that dimension with that being or whatever you're seeing, UFO, for 10 seconds, because we're flipping through billions per second. We just can't see it, right? So
ever since they fired up that CERN, we're flipping timelines now. Who knows what's gonna fucking happen?
dude. Yeah. That fucking thing, eh? Like, I don't know about you, but I definitely noticed some changes around.
Yeah, I love all those Mandela effects and stuff like that, the Berenstein Bears and all those things. There's lots of them that I clearly remember, especially the one the one I know for sure is Shazam. Shazam with Sinbad. Everybody remembers that. It was not Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal. And fucking everybody I know knows that one from 90s kids, right?
Oh, for
that
sure.
That one's for real legit.
It's fucking wild, man.
So what
yeah.
You got more encounters for us? Like our buddy Ken Spinks one, did he have it up in Lytton or was it in Dewdney?
This was not in Dewdney. Now, this took place in Seibert Island. Okay.
Okay.
Now this ties into a bunch of other stuff too, so it's gonna be good here.
There's been a bunch at Seibert Island, like back in the day, the Silver Settlers and stuff.
Even not long ago, like there's been they're there, right? And Ken used to go there every other weekend. One sec here. Ken used to go there every other weekend, quadding with his cousin or whatever, right? His mom would take him out there. He'd quad around at this abandoned gravel pit that was on Walleach Road in Seibert Island. Okay, it's on the reservation, right? Backs onto this fucking rock face, like you're going into the bushes after that, right? Yep. Now, he would go there all the time, right? So him and his cousin are there quadding around one time, and they get up over this log jam and they're quadding down this little road, and they notice to the left there's this tunnel-like structure that they'd never seen before, and it really was weird to them. They stopped and they actually drove into it because they could, and now all the trees were woven together like this and created like a tunnel, like an alley, and it went straight into the bush for about 100 yards. It was 10.5 feet tall, 8 feet wide. Now, that shit really weirded him out because he'd never seen anything like that there. He'd been there a million times, right? Like countless times being there. All good, nothing happens that time. But the next time he's there, about 2 weeks or it might have even been a month later, him and his cousin are there and they're quadding around doing their thing, right? And they get up over the thing and they're driving that same area where the tunnel was. 20 feet in front of them, Sasquatch walks out, 2 steps, and it's across this 1-lane road they're driving down, right? And he claimed it to be about 11 feet tall and built like the Hulk, basically, you know, like crazy bulky in the shoulders and chest, thick, you know, smaller in the waist, but like absolutely gigantic, you know, 11 feet tall. And I look at my 9-foot ceiling and I go, 2 more fucking feet. Like I'm
shit your pants if you saw that.
It makes my fucking jaw drop. Like, even though I believe I seen a Sasquatch, but it wasn't that close, man. But it's weird. I think it has to do with the way we perceive it too, because I don't feel like I'm worried about it if I do see it. Now, Ken, this is the weirdest part about the story, right? Like, this is where the supernatural side comes in. They're driving, they see the Sasquatch, they blink their eyes, and they're driving in the opposite direction. They were whipping in 5th gear, and he says, if we would have fucking busted a Yui, we would have rolled our quad. He goes, I can't stress this enough. We blinked our eyes, and we were driving in the opposite direction.
Like it turned around.
Yeah, Ken didn't go back there for 20 years. Okay, it scared the shit out of him, right? Like, it scared the hell out of him, right? And me and Lee actually took him back there about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, just to like take him in there and go, we got to go back, bro, right? We walked in there and felt the energy, and they're there still, man. You can feel them there, man. Like, I guarantee you, they're still around. And
oh yeah, for sure.
It's wild now. Here's some wild parts of this now. I don't think I said this already. 1 kilometer from where this happened, my buddy, Ken's encounter, there's the medicine man. Did I say this already to you?
No.
Okay. Because I talk about this stuff all the time on my TikTok lives and stuff, right? So,
Yeah, hard to keep track of. Yeah.
yeah, like all the time. So, where this happened, 1 kilometer from where it happened, there's a medicine man that works with Sasquatch. Okay.
Really?
And they take pity on human beings, right? Because like Ken doesn't know the medicine man, but I know this woman who's been there for healing. And she told me she heard going around the ceremony with the fireplace, and she was getting scared, right? And she asked the medicine man what it was, and he said it was wild man, hairy man. He's here to help. They take pity on human beings because we cannot see our illnesses. And to me, that speaks like a lot, because with the interdimensional theories, I think about we're third dimensional beings, right? Everything we're seeing out of our eyes right now is in 2 dimensions. Okay?
Yeah.
So for a Sasquatch to be able to see inside of me, probably down to the molecules and atoms, to be able to see my illness and heal me, he must be higher than the 3rd dimension. I'm going with even higher than the 5th. He possibly could be the highest dimensional beings there are. Now, it sounds wild, right? But there's countless, for instance, that story we just talked about, the whipping them in the circle, going around in the circle of that kid. This is how they do the healing. And I have countless stories of Sasquatch stomping the ground, walking in circles around people in their lean-tos, in their tents, in their homes. This is how they do it. And they do it all night long until the sun comes up, and then they just disappear. This is what happens to people. And I say, these guys, I used to believe Sasquatch were somehow possibly like workers for God or like the creator. But I've come to realize, and I've spoken with elders about this, and they started saying to me, you're getting it, right? Like you're starting to get this. And it really was like such a cool feeling when they said that. And basically I said to them, like, the Sasquatch, because what I used to think they were workers for them, but I say now this is a universe of balance, right? So that we do have the opposite side, right? This sounds funny, but I call them interdimensional healers and interdimensional stealers, because some of them, they give life essence and some of them take life essence. My buddy has literally seen Sasquatch come out of trees, and those trees die. Those are the Sasquatch that are taking life essence, okay? The ones that are healing people and doing less are like the helpers, right? So Sasquatch is just as much as a worker for the creator as I am and you are, right? We're all just beings here with conscious minds. God isn't what everybody thinks it is. It's just like a force, like an energy. And we're all a part of it. And like, yeah, man, it's such a trip when I think about this stuff. I don't know what I'm even saying now.
Yeah, no, I study mysticism, and I 100% agree. And it's like, I agree. And it's like the way it's been explained to me, it's almost like a thermometer, right? And like water, there's just the energy, and it's to the degree of it at hot, it's vapor, right? Water becomes vapor, and at cold, it becomes solid. It turns to ice, and that's what the energy is. And between good and bad, or angels and demons, as it was explained to me, it said there could be bad angels and there could be good demons that are trying to help you, and that the lower realms are just the more earthly realms, and the higher realms are just the more ethereal or heavenly. And it's our job to try and you got to kind of balance yourself in the middle of that, because if you're too etheric and woo-woo, you're not going to be paying the bills and going to work and doing this and that. And if you're too much the other way, you're going to be going to work and you're going to be drinking and fucking and snorting blow and more demonic type behavior, right? You got to balance her out. That's what I believe. That's what I'm getting down to.
I believe it too, man. And when I think about this stuff, I'm sure you know about like the Law of One, like the raw material books. You know about that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I own the books. I've never read them, but I do own them, and I've listened to some of the audio books. And a good friend of mine who's talked to me about this stuff told me that in the book there they talk about Sasquatch, the Law of One
Oh,
or the
really?
Raw. They literally talk about Sasquatch, and they say it has nothing to do with. There's two types, they say, and that it has nothing to do with like the look of these beings, because some of them look like me and you, like more human in the face, and some of them look more animal, like I don't want to say monkey, but because they're not, they're people,
Right.
but they have that more animalistic look, right? And it has nothing to do with the looks or the colors or anything of these beings, but it has to do with the conscious choices these guys make. And the ones that are the healers and that are helping people, they're the other up there, right? They're the more conscious beings, and I believe they're like the more up higher in dimension, if that makes sense. And the other ones that people talk about being aggressive and running into that are not helping, you know, they're more second density beings, right? They're even lower than third density beings like us, right? So this is what apparently the Law of One, the raw material, says about Sasquatch. Now, I don't know if you know who Sasquatch Ontario is. You know who that is?
Sasquatch, Ontario?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, Sasquatch Ontario is a guy. His name is Mike Patterson. He's had basically interdimensional contact with Sasquatch for the last 10 years. It's not like it's ongoing all the time, but this guy has their voices recorded. They've spoken his name, like they say Mike, his name's Mike. And
I think I have heard this guy, actually. I think I have.
he speaks with his Sasquatch's name Nefertia. Okay. And I'm actually became quite good friends with this guy. And, you know, he says that the Sasquatch on his last visit that they said to him that they operate, or their creator is different than ours, right? And they're not from here, right? Because I used to believe they were the original people of this world, and we were, you know, the implants are created by the Anunnaki, and I
Right.
still do believe that it's true, but I just don't know, like people, we could be half Sasquatch if that's the case, like the
Anything is possible.
Anunnaki. You know the stories, right?
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah. I've been into that since way before Ancient Aliens.
right? There you go, right?
Uh,
So, you know, like I believe it's possible, man. Like the reason why these Sasquatch have these abilities is because they've evolved here for millions of more years than us, right? We've, I guess, maybe only been here for 250,000 years. So,
Isn't there, you would know better than I would. I think I read somewhere before that even like in the Bible, there's scriptures that refers to hairy men and different men, and like the different beings and different categories of beings and stuff like that. And the hairy man was one of them. So, I mean, and then you got Tibetans and people in Asia and the Yeti and stuff like, I mean, everywhere, right? Swamp guys. Oh, they've been reported
Australia,
everywhere.
man, they're literally everywhere, and that's because I have another theory about the Sasquatch because they heal us, right? And I also believe they are healers of everything, like the world itself. Because people will see Sasquatch in an area, and I'm just using names. This is not like a exact places or anything. It's just like reference kind of thing here. But say Iowa, where you would think it would be like farm fields everywhere, maybe like a little acre of forest here and an acre of there, right? Spread out. People will see Sasquatch in this little tiny acre of forest for a year, just in and out. They'll see them there, and then they'll disappear for 30 years and not be seen, and then they'll come back. And I say, the Sasquatch are literally the interdimensional, right? And they can use elements like the trees and the rocks as doorways. Okay, so they can literally go to areas like that forest patch, heal the earth while they're there, disappear for 20 years, and then the earth is calling them to come back, and they'll come back, right? Because people will see them again there. And it's like, how are they chilling here when it's like farm fields as far as the eyes can see? You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it's possible.
they got to be able to flip in and out of dimensions and areas, right?
I
There's
literally,
one lady I heard a while ago on the Grimerica show. Those are really good guys out of Calgary. And this lady has been having encounters in the foothills around Calgary, and she said they're definitely interdimensional. Like, she's been sitting there and could see them. They're invisible, like, but you could see like a mirage kind of, and you could see the outline. And she's been leaving, leaving treats and stuff for the juveniles, and they've been coming around her tent and stuff all the time. I'll have to look her up and send you the link to her. It's a year or two back ago on the show, but I'll find it. But that's what she said. Yeah, like Predator, they're invisible, and they come right in her camp, and she would sit there and leave some muffins out or cookies.
And is her name Ashley?
I think so. Yeah,
I've talked to her because I remember seeing her on. I think she was on Mountain Beast Mysteries, and I wanted to contact her because I just started Sasquatch Confessions back then, and I wasn't on the interdimensional tip yet, right? Like, I'd just been getting into this interdimensional side and realizing what's going on here in the last year. So I wasn't on that level yet, and I'd like to talk to her again because, I've had experiences myself now, and like things like I didn't realize when I was probably about 6 years ago. I remember I was outside one night, and literally I seen the gravel, like footsteps in the gravel running towards me, and they're like blatantly, you could see them like running, and it skids like it's stopping on ice, and it stops 1 inch from my shoes. I'm like looking at the stuff, right? And I'm like, I didn't feel nothing hit me as in like wind or energy or anything like that. It was just like, I see this footsteps, and I realized like these guys, this is how they like to have fun with people too. Okay. And they will have fun with you that way. I think they're trying to like test me or see what I would do in that situation. I just stood there like, all right, okay. But these things, right? These things that have happened to you your whole life, like this happens to everybody. When your lighter or whatever disappears, 2 days later, it's back in that spot. That's your boys, man. They're literally having fun with you. That's how they do it. They think it's, like I said, they think it's funny that we cannot see our illnesses. They think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
This is what the medicine man said, literally.
Yeah, that'd be. I'd love to talk to that guy. But yeah, like I'm super sensitive to energies and stuff like that. Like, I even have a guy that or an entity that walks through my living room all the time in the evenings, or when I'm calm and down and I'm on my laptop or reading a book. And I'll just step out of the corner of my eye, look, and there's just this black shadow person just walking through the room, like, oh, there he fucking goes again. Like, but you tell people stuff like that, they think you're a fucking nut job, right?
Dude, like, I haven't even got into this yet. Now, like, I've had experiences like this my whole life. Like, one night I got up in the middle of the night to go to my bed. I was lying on the couch sleeping, right? And it was about 3 in the morning. It was definitely, it could have even been 3:30. Like, it was in that time, right? And I get up, I go get a drink, go to my bedroom, get in my bed, and I'm lying there. I'm wide awake. In my ear here, I hear this demonic, it sounds like the fucking devil. Okay. And this thing spoke a couple sentences to me, and I've never felt fear like that in my entire life. And I've been shot, stabbed, the whole 9 yards here. And I've never felt fear like that in my life. And for about 6 years, I was about 50% deaf in my ear after that
Really?
happened. Yeah. So it really weirded me out for a while. And I thought, is it possible that whatever that was, like, tried to censor me from like hearing God or the creator or whatever? Because it was like I was deaf in that ear. After that happened, I was like 50% deaf in this ear.
That's
Fucking
crazy.
weird, man. But I mean, and like so many things have happened to me, dude. Like weird shit like this.
You were telling me earlier about an owl or something like that, an encounter with the owl that you had. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, there's really not much really to say about it other than, you know, how what happened. It was super weird, right? It's like I woke up one night and I was looking out my window when I used to live at the house there in my mom's place, and this window looks down right on the front driveway. I just looked down there and there's this fucking owl, and he was like staring up at my window, and he was about 3 feet tall. And I know owls don't get that big, right? It was like so weird, man. Like, and it wasn't a fucking dream, dude. It was real, because the weirdest thing, I don't fucking dream. I'm starting to again, but this has been like almost 15 years since I was shot in the head, right? And I didn't
Yeah.
dream after that for a long time, right? Like I didn't sleep at night and I didn't dream for probably a few years after I got shot. And like the dreams just started coming back. Like the sleeping pattern was fucked up for a while there,
That's
but
smoking pot, which you do heavy. That's they say fucking kills your dreams.
they
lots of
say that
people.
too, right?
Yeah. I have a whole other life in my dreams, and I've been doing Robert Monroe, like the astral projection and stuff like that. Like you listen to binary beats and it's different signals in your ears, and it's like a self-hypnosis thing. And okay, visualize this, visualize that. Holy shit. Buckle up, Dorothy, because you're fucking going places. Like fucking I seen Rick and Morty portals, like psychedelic portals that I shot through.
I've done that before in real life.
I was lying here one night, like I'm gonna astral project, and literally almost instantly, I'm like, okay, lying back, put my little beats in, lie back. Boom! I was out of my body in my room, and there was somebody in my room. There was a female and talking to me, and she was trying to like grab me and like pull me like towards, like, to me it felt like darkness, and I was like, no freaking way. And then I snapped back into myself, and yeah, it was something else. Definitely dimensionally traveling or spirit realm or something.
Yeah.
It was something else.
I've seen it. Like one time I was on ecstasy at the time, but I mean certain drugs will help you experience these experiences,
Sure.
right? It's known.
Yeah.
And I remember being there at my buddy's house, and I was downstairs talking with this chick, and we're leaning on this pool table, and all of a sudden it was like, do you know what I mean by a thought bubble? Like in a cartoon, a thought bubble. It's like all of a sudden I could see this thought bubble, and I'm outside of it in this vast darkness. And inside the thought bubble was me and this chick standing there talking. And I'm sitting there watching, and I look around, and it's empty darkness. Like it's just dark nothingness. And I'm like, weird, right? And I back into my body, and I go, whoa. And she's like, what? And I'm like, you didn't just see that? Like, she's like, what are you talking about? I was just outside of my fucking body.
Yeah.
Literally, right? And another time, dude, I did DMT. I don't know, have you ever done that stuff?
Oh yes, sir.
I mean, I wish I knew what I know now, like being older, because I was only like 21 when I did it. And man, when I did the DMT, it was like I took it in, and then as I blow it out, it's like, say if you're looking, visualize what you're seeing right now in front of you. And as you blow out, you see grid lines everywhere that are expanding, getting thicker. So you see everything is made out of squares, and like little square blocks. Everything is made out of these squares.
It was fractalizing, kind of.
Yeah. And then you breathe back in and the squares went back to normal, like to normal vision, like solid. Yeah. And as I'm breathing, it's doing that in and out, in and out. It's getting like squares and then back to normal, squares and back to normal. Next thing you know, squares go, start spinning. And I'm getting sucked through this fucking tunnel. It's like lights and colors and shit everywhere. I'm being sucked through this tunnel. Feels like crazy fucking, like I'm fucking going on a ride. I come to this area where it's just like, boom, I'm here. And it's like, nothing was said to me, but it was like, I met this like light being, and the best way I can do it is to draw it kind of, but it kind of looked like this here. One sec.
Yeah, I've had lots of crazy pixelated experiences like that too, like a ghost.
It basically, but it was pure light. It was made out of light, but it and more body, more of a body, but not legs, like not looking like a ghost like that, but like the eyes is what really did it to me, because there was no eyes. It's just holes, and I could see like if there was color here, I could see the color in the eyes and the mouth. Like there was just holes going through the light. Do you get what I'm saying? So it was just like this light being standing there, and it was just like super fucking loving and warm feeling. And then all of a sudden, I was just fucking sucked back down into my body. You know, like that was the first time I tried DMT, the only time I tried it. Like, and it was amazing, really. Like, I would love to try it again in my older years. You know.
Yeah, I've been trying to work the courage. I did it once at a house party. I think I was in West Heights, and I hit it. I don't think I broke through. It was just like instantly like a really intense mushroom trip, and I was kind of locked in it, and then I kind of snapped back and I said, holy shit, that DMT is some crazy shit. And I realized I'm standing there talking. There's a cop standing right in front of me breaking up a house party, and he's just shaking his head at me, right?
Oh man,
good times growing up in Mission.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, man, wild. I told you about the interdimensional thing that happened there. Yeah, such a trip too, man. Like I'm starting to believe, because just recently I was out doing a little hunt, you know, walking around doing our stuff, right? And I think the video comes out tomorrow, but you see it here, you hear it happening. Like I'm by myself at a moment, right? And it was, first off, we went. Is this live or is this it's just recorded, right?
It's just recorded. Yeah, I got to edit it and all that stuff tomorrow.
Okay. Now we went up Elk Mountain, right? And the first thing that you drive up Elk Mountain, you see a giant banner, missing person. And it's a missing 401 case. This guy's gone. He's never been seen again, right? And the banner's still up there. And right away I go, like, I didn't catch the vibe yet, but instantly I go, holy, that's a missing 401 case, right? So we're going up there, and we take a left at the first little intersection or whatever in the road. We go up the mountain road. We get all the way up there, and I feel like we got to turn around, like this feeling. And like I was with my buddy that I work with, and James. You know, I think you know James.
Yeah.
Now we got a call, right? And it was like we had already decided that we were done and we were going and doing our Squatch thing. So we got a call that was like, oh, you know, you want to come back and start working or something. And to me, it felt like that was a life-saving call. Like, you know, when you get a call, oh, we got to go back to work, right? But then Buddy was like, no, we're doing this and we'll come in on Monday, blah, 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 right? So to me, and I'm getting this really weird feeling coming over me, right? Like, I got to turn around. It keeps saying in my head. And I'm like, eventually I say to James, because after he gets off the phone, I go, dude, I think we got to turn around from here, man. Like the fog was rolling in there, and it was really fucking weird. I don't get those feelings very often. And so we turned around, right? And we ended up going to another place. Now, when I was there, we ended up finding this creek, and we walked down the creek, and James turned around, and I was down there by myself for a while. And like I say, they're healers, right? And I asked them for healing. Now, I got to say this first. Now, a week previously, I had those tingly feelings I told you about, like the hand, and I've had them like touch me on the side and do this other stuff to me before. And I got this feeling come over to me about a week ago when I was doing my laundry, and it came up behind me. It was like I felt the energy creep up behind me, and it was like a wave of crazy, almost pins and needles energy going from my feet to my head and like into my chest and like vibrating like wild. And I'm like it wasn't like I was scared, but it was like unsettling in a way, right? Like I didn't realize what was happening, but I'm starting to think it was my people, right? And
Sounds
so
like
I'm out
Kundalini
there.
energy, like yoga energy.
Yeah, man. It was some stuff like I don't feel off, and it was full body, right? So I'm out there now. James has turned around. I'm by myself, and I'm standing down there, and I just say out loud, and I'm like, all right, guys, I'm here for healing, man. Like I'm here for healing. And the exact same started happening, right? This weird, the energy feeling the exact same thing that was happening to me a week previously started happening again. And I looked out of the corner of my eye, and I see this. It wasn't like a body blur, but it was like an orb blur, like a circular, invisible blur. And it fucking went like this out of the corner of my eye, like to my right. It goes by, and I look over, and it's strange enough, it's right beside a old tree break. And it's like,
okay.
I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's possible that I experienced some healing there, man.
Yeah, for people that don't know, a tree break is like it'll be up high, unnatural, broken thing. And you guys find like dens and stuff like that too. I've watched quite a bit of your videos, Like it looks like a little spot where they possibly nestled
stuff.
down
Yeah.
and stuff like
No,
that.
I found a few of them, a few like that for sure. Yeah, man, it's a trip when I think about this stuff.
Did you ever see the one where that somebody was like up in, I think it was like Squamish or somewhere, and they're looking down on this glacier. They're way up, like 5,000 feet, and there's a Sasquatch walking across the glacier. There's like no, and they got it on film. It's pretty good, but there's like no reason for anybody to be out in that area.
Mount Trithuli, I think Trithuli Peak it was filmed on. I mean, I got my Sasquatch game on lock, man.
yeah, I know you do. That's why I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy when I think about all the stuff that I know about Sasquatch, or like the encounters, and like I got an ear for this stuff because like there's this guy named Steve Isdell, great guy. He's a local guy. He's from Vancouver Island. You could probably even run into him one day. He goes by Pro Guide 66. He's a hunter, fishing guide. But now he's more like a YouTube guy because he's got a channel with 200 and something thousand subscribers. And what he does is he has people that email him their encounters. Steve Isdell is actually the guy who inspired me to start Sasquatch Confession. Okay, he inspired me to start my thing. So he lives out there, Vancouver Island. Oh man, I forget what I was going to even say about the guy.
No big deal. No, that's the neat thing about me moving out to the island is like I think the only place that has more Sasquatch lore than Mission B.C. to Harrison, B.C. Fraser Valley is Campbell River. Like Campbell River, Courtney. They've got Forbidden Plateau right here in town is the old ski hill before Mount Washington, and like everybody knows from the natives have lore, don't go up there. That's where the hairy men are. When the settlers were coming, people that go settle up that hill would just go missing. Time and time again, is like, don't go up Forbidden Plateau. That's where the hairy men are, right? Like it's
crazy
everywhere around here in BC.
I don't know if you listen to a guy named Hammerson Peters on YouTube. Do you know who that is?
That's the one. That's the one where I was learning some ones that I had before. I was trying to remember his name earlier. I love his stuff.
You know,
Yeah.
he's got great shit, man, and for great content. The stories he gets, like he was just I was listening to one the other day, and they're talking about freaking Norris Creek, man. You know,
No
Suicide
way.
Creek. Yeah, and like some
Well,
fishermen
well, to
in
explain to the listeners, where we grew up in a town called Dudney, BC, just outside of Mission, BC. Dudney's only about 500 people. It's a Dutch dairy farming community. My grandfather owned the general store there. JT's dad was the greatest fisherman that ever lived there. And our local creek that come down into the Dudney Slough is called Suicide Creek. And yeah, there's just all kinds of encounters and stuff there. But yeah, tell us. So Hammerson Peters had one about
yeah,
Suicide Creek.
there was a encounter there. I believe it might have been in the 60s or 70s. There was a group of fishermen, chilled like kids were there fishing, right? And they seen this giant black, I believe they said it was black, like covered in hair, and it was a man standing about 100 yards from them, just right at the water. And they watched it go down and take a drink out of the water, and it scared them, and they took off, right? But there's been numerous encounters in that area, man. Like Nicoleman Island, right there. There was another encounter, kind of like it would be past the Spitters, but like before Lequimel Trailer Park.
Yeah.
And or like the gas station there now. And there was I think it was a woman who's seen it. She's seen a Sasquatch in the field there, and it was standing with the cows, and the cows were coming up and chilling, like coming up to the Sasquatch, and it was just standing in the field. You know, like many times, man. They've been seen so many times around. So wild. And that the thing that I was saying earlier about Steve, now that I remember, is there's this sound, right? He has people email him all the time about these encounters, right? And there's this group of people who are sending these sounds and video clips to people like him or people like me who are doing the Sasquatch stuff. And they'll have like their phone and they're recording outside, just moving their phone around like this, and they'll put the Sasquatch sound on there, right? And they'll say, "Oh, it's from here," right? These guys were messaging him, claiming it was from northern BC. When I know right away, this sound was recorded 11 years ago, and I can literally hear 1 second from the sound clip, and I know you're full of shit, right? Like these guys are hoaxers. They're trying to get him to you know, I don't know if they're just trying to make him look bad or what, or make people like us look like idiots, but you know, I call them out, man. I call them out when that happens, right? You know, I'll put them on blast if I gotta.
Yeah, they're trying to discredit people. I find that comes across in lots of conspiracies and this and that. Like a lot of, I think personally, my belief with all the QAnon and stuff like that, I think all that came out before and sucked a bunch of people in, so that when the COVID stuff came in and people are really trying to like, maybe we shouldn't even bring that up on here because my other one got taken down. We dare not speak Voldemort's name.
Yeah.
But yeah, to kind of agent provocateurs to take down stuff and discredit people and make them all look crazy, like Alex Jones too, right? He makes anybody into conspiracies look like a nut job, right? Like,
oh man, that guy's
he
hilarious.
probably works for the CIA, right?
Oh man, wild.
That's what I think. Well, you got any more encounters for us off the top of your head, personal ones or ones that have been sent to you?
Well, just not too much. I mean, I'll add a couple weird little things in there, like experiences I've had recently, where like me and my brother were out walking up Chehalis Mountain, and we're walking up a clear cut. And he's about 20 feet behind me, and I'm up there, and I'm just lighting a doob, and we're sitting there, and he's coming up behind. I'm looking up the hill, and I see this probably about maybe 6 feet or so, maybe 8 feet round, like circular, literally like swirling invisible area up on the clear cut. Like there's trees, like younger trees growing. It was a clear cut, now it's growing in, right? But the trees are about maybe 8 feet tall, like young little trees. And this weird blur is just going there, this circular moment, right? And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and disappears. And right away, I'm like, right? And I say to my brother, I go, I think I might have just seen some like cloaking or something weird, right? He's like, looks at me, he's like, no way, where? And I'm like, oh, right here on the hill here, right? Pointing it out. And he's like, I just seen that shit too, man. Like I seen it as I was walking up. I was looking at it. So it's like so many weird little things. This is how the Sasquatch they do it, right? They're gonna come to you and work with you on a personal level. They're not coming out and like showing the fucking countries we're here, you know. They're gonna come to you on a personal level and work with you to upgrade your conscious. The Sasquatch that are working with people are here to help evolve you consciously. They're here for conscious ascension of us, you know. And it's crazy because in that law of one stuff, they talk about the Sasquatch. They're here helping people and they're paying off karmic debt that they, you know, acquired somewhere else. So they've been sent here to do this job. That's coming from Raw. Fucking trip, man.
They got to fix their karma from running and gunning on the Millennium Falcon, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Wookiees. Well, I think we killed it. Fucking, why don't you tell people where they can find you and how they can follow you?
All right, guys, you guys can follow me at Sasquatch.confessions on TikTok, YouTube. I'm on Facebook, you know. TikTok's where I'm mostly at. I'm trying to build my YouTube up, guys, because my original one was taken down about a year or two ago. So muchly appreciated. Anybody listening to this, I would really appreciate the subs over there, trying to build it up. I'm the man on TikTok, literally.
Yeah. I've never tried. Yeah.
You know, like you should check out TikTok if you're doing your content, because it will help you boost, you know, your podcast here, right? You can link your content. Anyways,
then you're helping out these spies.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, bro, yeah.
You just stay on the line. I'm going to stop recording. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another episode of the Perakee Podcast. We'll catch you next time.